If you're an agency and you're sick and tired of all your client requests being managed through massive thread into your email app, and you have no way of prioritizing, assigning, and managing capacity for incoming client requests, I got the perfect solution for you. In this video, we're going to build together an AI agent that is capable of receiving your customer requests, sorting them out into the appropriate customer lists in your project tool, and decide to assign them to the right person and prioritize them into the next weeks of work. If you don't know me already, my name is Ramzi, and we help clients doing exactly this, and we help them deliver faster and more efficiently with the same workforce using AI agents, automations, and a project software called ClickUp. Now, with that said, let's move on to this full demo of what we want to achieve. What we basically want to do is that each time a client sends a request, it basically identifies who's the customer who made the request with the email content, the email address that sends it, and then from there, we will create a new task into ClickUp. So what happens here is this first step is handled in blue by the email client. So it's Gmail, Outlook, you name it. This one is handled by make.com, and I'm going to show you in make.com how I've created an AI agent. And in here, it's basically in ClickUp. So everything in orange is ClickUp. And what's cool here is that once your client has made a request through an email, that email address will be stored into ClickUp task and we'll be able to use it to email the customer as soon as that task has been done for them. So as you can see, if you're able to achieve this, you basically have a virtual assistant that's triaging your customer email requests and sorting them out into the appropriate ClickUp list for your team to handle them. And in this video, we're going to use the example of a video editing agency where we have a bunch of video here and client making requests related to videos. Now, if you're an agency in another industry, obviously you have to adapt that to your system, how your workspace has been built and your tickets, whether they're incoming client requests if you're a web design agency, a software requests if you're a software agency. It really depends on your use case. And I also know that for video editing agencies, it makes much more sense to use Frame.io or these kind of tools. But sometimes clients send requests on the fly through emails. So both requests coming from your external tools, if you're using them, but also incoming email requests. And that's what we're focusing on here. In this example, we have a bunch of projects here, a bunch of videos to do for our clients. They're appearing right here. And what we would like to achieve is turn all the incoming requests into actionable tasks. So I've prepared some examples here. We are in Gmail, which is my email client, and some clients are asking us some things. Here we have, hi Ramzi, I just watched the behind the scenes. Are there any few things? Please change this, please change that, whatever. So they're requesting changes on the videos. About that shoot, clients want to see something before the full edit, just like a rough cut, nothing fancy. Then we have a quick thing on the Spring Tech video, client requests from Greenlight. So these are client requests from 3 dummy clients that we have here: Greenlight, Horizon Media, and Nexus Prod. And the thing is, in ClickUp, these have editing lists that are in different folders, and we don't want to bother from using the email to task feature each time and have to just forward that email to the ClickUp list. We would like to turn that into something more actionable, something more meaningful, and basically just see the actual task and maybe the original email below so that it's much easier for our team to handle it. On top of that, if we could have an intelligence being able to estimate the task as well as put it into the right batch of work of the coming weeks, that would be amazing. And that would be a time saver and a game changer from turning emails into tasks. So we'll do that in this very video. And here's what's going to happen. We're going to create an agent in make.com that is going to do the following. It's going to transform each raw email into client requests and put them into the right workspace IDs, space IDs. And the way it's going to do it is analyze the email, identify the client, use the client editing list for all the tasks, and determine if the email request is a new task or if it's just a comment into an existing task and should just be appended to an existing task because it's related to it. And then it's going to set the batch custom field. So I've talked about the batch method extensively into previous videos. I've put the link in the description. And basically this field is going to trigger automations in ClickUp that I'll show you later. Once that's done, it's going to analyze the email And then here below, we explain the workflow. So what we want the agent to do. And you want to have clear steps for your agents so that they know exactly what they have to do and how they have to proceed through your ClickUp workspace. What's amazing with an agent is that it's not only about giving them instructions, kind of like ChatGPT, and them like outputting something. They can also interact with ClickUp through what's called an MCP. So they have access to different tools in ClickUp that you can see here. They can search ClickUp, get access to hierarchy data, get access to tasks, subtasks, comments, and everything. They can basically act like a human and just explore your ClickUp and fill in the blanks on your behalf, as long as you give them the right instructions and the right context. So we're going to use that together into an existing Make automation. And if you don't know about Make already, it's a software automation that we'll love to use at Upsys because we feel like it's great value for money. It's very convenient, very easy to use. It's kind of like the right balance between very complex AI agents automation software like NA10 and super basic stuff like Zapier. So I'm going to click Save. And I'm sorry I didn't dive deep into how to create these agents because it's not the full purpose of the video, but basically there's an AI agents tab into make.com. I've put the instructions, I've connected the MCP. You can add an MCP, by the way. You can add the one from ClickUp. So Make offers you a few, but ClickUp's not out here. ClickUp actually has instructions about their MCP server on their documentation. So if you want to look into how to implement the ClickUp MCP into make.com, feel free to go there. I'll put the link to documentation if you're interested. And obviously, if you're time poor and you just want to get this done for your team to work faster, feel free to book a discovery call with us. This is what we do for clients. So we can do that for you and you don't have to bother about the behind the scenes part of it. So I've created my agent. I've called it the email to task agent and it's out here. It's working. I've actually tested it out earlier with some example tasks and you can see like the responses and stuff. So we're going to start using it into an actual automation now. We're going to go into scenarios and create a new one. First thing I want to do is name it. We're going to say email, new email, ClickUp, new task. So we're assuming that for every new email, it's an actual task in ClickUp. Now, if you don't want to do that, if you want to filter things out, just know that Gmail, for example, offers filtering features. And you could also have your AI agent determine if it's an actionable task or just an actual conversation and decide to create it in ClickUp or not. So obviously, when we do these kinds of agents for clients, we put filters and safeguards, and we make sure that it's actually creating only what we need to create into ClickUp and minimizing the API calls and the automation costs. So to do so, we're going to go into Gmail and add the Gmail module in make.com. I've already connected my Gmail account, so I'll just turn on this module called Watch Emails. My Gmail connection is right here. It's a simple filter. Systems folder is my inbox. So I'm just going to leave things by default and click Save. And then I'm going to choose where to start. So I'm going to pick the emails that I've sent. This one, the one that starts with quick thing on the Spring Tech video. Perfect. So I'm going to start with this email. And that's the one my automation is going to trigger. So I've created my first module. I can rename it if I want to. So I can say like new email received. That's basically the event. Then here's what's going to happen. We're going to have our MCP read the content of the email. But to do so, we first need to receive the information. So we're going to create an agent and run it, but we're going to leave it empty for now. So I'm going to pick my email to task agent, the one I created earlier. And then I'm going to allow the MCP. It's all good and click Save. For now, we're not going to do anything. What we're going to do is run it once while disconnecting this just to receive the email information. Okay, so we got the email, we got the body, we got the email content, the person that sent it, and that's all good. Then here, we are going to bring in the content of the message. We have our mail sender, we have our mail subject, and we have our mail content. And each time we're just gonna select the right property from make.com. So the email is gonna be the from email, subject is going to be the subject right here, and the mail content is going to be the full text body. I'm going to click Save, and that's all we need to do. So all the instructions about how things are done are actually in the email to task agent. Obviously, if you want to see how it's done, you can click Save, reopen this, and click Configuration on the top right. and will bring you back to the agent. So that's where you change the instructions. And then back to the actual automation, we only have to bring in the actual context of each run, so the actual email. So what we can do is click save and see how this works. It's basically receiving an email, running an agent that takes care of triaging it into the right list. Let's see how it goes. I'm gonna click run once, and we're gonna use the same run as the previous one, just not to go through the 3 dummy emails we have, and see how it's working. So it's running, and it's gonna take a while because it's gonna do a few actions into your ClickUp. So it's gonna look it up in your hierarchy, find the right lists, find the right tasks. It's gonna act like a human, basically, with all the instructions we gave them earlier. Once that run is made, what you can see is what happened into the operations. You can see what it's tried to do. So it's tried to read the email, and then it's done a few things. So you can see the different calls. It's gotten the workspace hierarchy here, and so on and so forth. And maybe let's look at what it's done in the end. Identified client and list, no existing, Spring Tech, create a new task, and it's even giving us the task ID. So what should have happened in ClickUp if I were to find that task ID is a new task has been created into Greenlight Studio for that first email. Apply client revisions. Client feedback, request time change, replace the music, add new and card tagline, and it set the batch. And what's going on here is that because it set a batch and decided it's to do next, the start date, due date, and assignee has been set. And we basically have that task being added into our capacity planning. So this task should now appear into our workload. What was an email before is now into our workload, as you can see here. Isn't that amazing how an email sent from your customers can be put into the right list? Because obviously if I open the task, it's in Greenlight Studio editing, and then turned into an actionable task with actual steps and an assignee defined with some rules. So that's the power of AI agents and MCPs in ClickUp. And if you're wondering how this works and how come as soon as the task got into an email, it's got assigned to Ramzi and the start date and due date were set for the week after, it's because there's automations behind the scenes that are also taking care of this. So there's the agent in make.com, but there's 2 other agents in ClickUp. The way you have to decide where you build the agents is if it's one single simple action, set it as an agent in ClickUp. If it's a complex action like looking into different lists and interpreting an email, turning it into a task, and there's several things to do, then set it up as a make agent. But basically the agent we have in ClickUp here, the first one takes care of, based on the batch value, setting the start and due date. And the second one takes care of when we have a batch, actually analyze the task and assign it. Basically a bunch of rules for assignee that he has access to. So if I were to go into my documentation here, into the video wiki, I can see that basically we have assignees for documentation, visual research, video production, and based on these rules, we have an assignee that is set into the task. So it's kind of like having one agent taking care of turning the email into an actionable task, a second one taking care of planning it into the next weeks of work, and the third one taking care of assigning it to the right person. So you basically have a project manager that's split into 3. I think if the rules are very deterministic, you can easily save yourself 80% of the brain power and the workload of thinking who has to work on this, who's doing that, when can we do it, and just have these agents take care of it. And just fine-tune things. Obviously, as a human, you can always come up here and just decide to change this to now, for example, or something like that. I don't know if you saw, but while I was talking and giving you this whole demo, the agent behind the scenes also created this another one, EcoSmart behind the scenes, and it's added instructions to a task we already had about how to do and what to do for EcoSmart. Factory sequence, bridge feels abrupt, CEO interview around 12 minutes, audio delay, fix lip sync. So all of this is coming from the email and it's got added to our existing EcoSmart behind the scenes task. This is actually not a new task, just AI agents has interpreted that there was already a task taking care of this. We just added extra information that came through an email. And there's one last step I want to talk about. So in the agent we've built, there's an actual instruction that says update the email custom field with the sender's email. And what this does is after it's created the task, it sets the email of the sender. So we can use that email for automations in ClickUp. And one cool automation can be to send an email to the sender to tell them the task is done, right? The simple way is simply to say, when a task is closed, send an email to tell, we're done with your task, EchoSmart behind the scenes. So we're going to use the task name. So just to show you, I'm going to put the actual Team Upsys email, and we're going to get back here and create our automation. So what we're going to say is that each time a task status goes to done, we're going to send an email, and that email content is going to be the email custom field that we have, and the subject is going to be task done, and we're going to use the task name. And from here, we're going to say, hello, we are done with, and then I'm going to add a variable, task name, check it here to validate. Obviously, this assumes your customer has access to your ClickUp workspace as a guest. And this is just an example. There's other ways to do it. There's more complex ways. You could potentially just read the content of the task and just give a summary, a written summary to your customer, but you would need an agent for that. And we want to keep it simple just for this step. So we're just going to call our automation task done and email to customer. I'm going to click create, and we can just run that automation in this one, the Nexus production, just change the status to client review and see how it goes. So that should send an email with the EchoSmart behind the scenes done. And here we have the automation that just ran that said, hello, we're done with EchoSmart behind the scenes. Check it to validate here. And it should have sent to this email address. So if I get into my Gmail account, I have it right here. Task done, EchoSmart behind the scenes. Hello, we're done with EchoSmart behind the scenes. Check it to validate. If I click here, as a customer, I can just access the task. With agents and automations, we're basically turning what was a full-time job of triaging emails and sorting out tasks into slots of work and assigning the task to the right people into just very deterministic rules that you can just fine-tune by a human. So I always recommend having a human in the loop. But just, I mean, look at that. Look at how this workload view is starting to make total sense, and tasks are assigned to the right people based on the wiki rules that we have here. And you can just see clearly who has workload and who can handle more work in the coming weeks. So I really believe in agentic project management. Now let's talk about the 2 emails left. I've showed you the second one, I think, and it was the second operation. Let's see the third one. And the response should be here. All right, so it's this one, and it's the Horizon Media Rough Cut Friday Shoot Rooftop Citywide Close-Ups. It's actually this email. This guy sent me this, and if I were to go into ClickUp and just paste the task link that I've gotten from Make, as you can see here, this task has been created into the Horizon Media list, and it's been assigned to April, and I can also see it into the workload view. That's the power of AI agents, and that's the power of connecting ClickUp to Make.com through MCPs and agents. And as you can see, it's fairly simple. We just receive the emails. Those emails are handled by our agents, and we have configured our agents so that it has a very clear set of instructions as well as tools to take care of it. If you're interested about these kind of agents and you don't want to bother just fine-tuning them and building them yourself, feel free to book a discovery call with us. And I'd love to see if it makes sense for us to work together and for us to help you out, save time, deliver faster, and leverage agents and automations. And until then, I'll see you in another video. Stay productive.